Hi, good afternoon everyone. This is Angel with eXp Realty. I'm creating this video because I want to share some very valuable information with you regarding the Phoenix real estate market. Actually, the Arizona real estate market. So first of all, I just want to share with you a little bit about who I am and how I'm different from your average agent. Okay, so the first thing is I consider myself to be a consultant, a real estate expert, not a salesperson. So as a consultant, what it is that I do is I take information, data, I use that information, I interpret it to kind of give you an idea what the upcoming real estate trends are going to be, and I make a professional recommendation based on my experience, and I completely back off to let you make your choice rather than being a pushy salesperson that has some strategy to get you to buy a house now. Okay, so that's really what I want to share with you about myself. So there's a few topics I'm going to touch on in this video, and the first thing is that I want to touch on is population trends. So these are the topics: population trends, lifestyle trends, building trends, and the devaluation of the dollar and how that actually impacts your purchasing power when it comes to looking for a home. So the average buyer, the age of the average buyer that's buying a home is 33 years in age. Now, if you look, the average buyer that's 33 years in age, they are millennials. So one thing that we look at is we got to go back, 33 years to see what the birth rates were 33 years ago, so we can kind of get a sense of what's the demand that's going to be placed on housing in the upcoming years. So hopefully you guys can see this here, okay? So I created this little chart here, and you see this line right here, this right here, that basically represents millennials that were born 33 years ago. Okay, and there's a slight decline there for a year, but overall, if you can see, there's just an overall increasing trend in these millennials coming into the marketplace. So there's the millennials are entering the marketplace, they're purchasing homes, and it's a bit different. Life is a bit different these days than it was back in the 70s or 80s. When people used to get married first, and then they used to form a household. They used to buy a home. Yeah, it's a little bit different now. Now, especially with millennials, you're seeing that they're buying homes on their own for the most part, and then they might get married, right? Or they might not, but they're purchasing homes on their own. So that's doing is it's creating an effect, an upward demand in housing. So that's definitely impacting the housing market. Secondly, we have divorce rates. Okay, so I don't know if you can see this here, but what this represents here in all these groups of people, basically if you're from 50 to 99 years old, in those categories, in those groups of people, divorce rates have actually increased from 2011 to 2016. So why is that important? Well, because traditionally there used to be, limited ways that a household was created. People didn't get divorced a whole lot back in the 60s, 70s, maybe even the 80s. But now when people get divorced and they're getting divorced at a higher rate, what happens is now instead of needing one household, you need two households. So that's also putting an upward demand on housing. And the more demand that we have on housing, the more expensive housing is going to get. Now, you want to take that into consideration against, compare, it's all related. So let me just share this with you. So these are housing permits here in the United States. Building housing permits. So you can see there is a sharp drop off right there in 2008. Remember we had that mortgage crisis? Yeah, well, everybody stopped building homes. Why? Because it was more expensive to build a home than to just buy an existing home. So there was no sense in people buying homes. Now you can see that it's starting to recover, but overall compared to other years, this is still historically low. So you have more demand, less supply, and if you understand the marketplace, whenever you have more demand and less supply of anything, it's going to cost a whole lot more money, right? So let's just say you're here in Phoenix, we're in the desert, right? But we're here in the city. You go to the store, you can buy a gallon of water for about $1. But if you're stuck in the middle of the desert, guess how much that gallon of water is worth? It's worth a whole lot more than $1. Right, so that kind of gives you an idea of supply and demand. Or if you're, the gas stations here in the city, you buy gas for $2.50 a gallon. That's pretty normal. But if you're traveling to California, go buy gas in the middle of the desert. It's not $2.50. It's probably closer to $3. Right, so that's basic supply and demand. Now, the other thing you want to keep in consideration is, I don't know if you noticed, but everything is getting more expensive. Everything. The reason for that is twofold. When the mortgage crisis came in 2008, I'm not an economist, so I don't know if this was right or wrong for them to do that, but this is what they did. The Obama administration started printing trillions of dollars. They just printed more money. So what happens is, when they just print more money like that, it makes your money worth less because there's much more supply. Just think, back in 1985, if you were around back then, you could probably buy a candy bar for maybe, I don't know, 35 cents or something like that. You can't buy a candy bar for 35 cents these days. Why? Because the currency's being devalued. And this little graph here is going to show you the trends, basically, for the upcoming years as far as inflation is concerned. Was basically a devaluation of the dollar. And you can see that at every single one of these years, it's definitely going to be over, for the most part, pretty close to 2.5%. So that's pretty significant. Now, so that means in 5 years, your dollar would have been devalued probably like 12.5% or something like that. So that's pretty crazy. And so you combine that with an increase in the minimum wage, and guess what has to happen? Everything has to go up. Everything has to go up. Now, some people debate, what should I buy? Should I sell? Should I buy? Should I rent? The reality is, if you continue to rent, you're putting yourself into a trap where you have to continue year after year paying those more expensive rates for housing. Whereas if you purchase a home, what you're doing is you're locking in the payment for yourself. If you pay $1,300 today, guess what? In 5 years, it's not going to feel like $1,300 anymore. It might feel like $1,100 because everything would have been more expensive by then. So, as a consultant, I take all this information and I help you make informed decisions that work for you. So if you or someone you know is looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, I would love the opportunity to serve you. You can send me a direct message here on Facebook, or you can call me or text me at 602-214-4597. My promise to you is that in all of our interactions, they're going to be clear. There's going to be, you're going to have peace of mind, and just knowing that you're getting the right information to help you make the right choice. Okay, thank you for your time. Have a great day, and I look forward to hearing from you.